Like, we have to become kind of children again, because it might be that the fairy stories of the world bring us nearer to the world, maybe than Newton's laws of gravity, or than E equals MC squared, or what have you, you know.
Them's the words of John Moriarty, Ireland's most underrated deep thinker, a philosopher of the ditches and the hedgerow, a druid or a mad Gaelic shaman. I don't know what to make of him, which is the reason for these episodes. I'm not going to give you a biog, except to say that Moriarty was born in Kerry in 1938, and neither am I going to try to parse or pull apart any of his big ideas. This podcast is a mere taster, a series of short snippets to introduce you to the work of a wild man, whose mind was wide open, whose spirit was pumping with so much good juju, it can be hard to know what to make of him. He's hailstones in your face, like snorting Unshe Guithe, the fairy wind, up your nostrils. He's the greatest Irish thinker you've never read. He's a scamp, a rogue, a bit of a trickster, but he's ours. He's Ireland's great philosopher of the 20th century. Welcome to the Bog Shaman, Mancan on Moriarty. Why do I want you to focus on this little-known, underappreciated figure who is a failed university lecturer in Canada and an idiosyncratic and not entirely dependable gardener in Connemara, and a maddeningly rambling and verbose writer? Because he says things like this.
All ground is holy ground. Even if you're to stand in the Dublin tips or the Dublin dumps, like, it is holy ground. You cannot stand anywhere on the earth and not be standing on holy ground. And every bush is a burning bush. Like the old bushes that I see in Connemara, you know, the old skak gal that you'll meet on a bog road, and it is horizontal, flowing with the wind. Do you know what I mean? It is going the wind's way, you know, it is going the prevailing way of the universe. It isn't resisting the universe, it's flowing its way. I mean, those old little bushes there in Connemara, they too are burning bushes. They are burning with green fire in the spring. They're burning with red fire of haws in the autumn. They're burning with jewel blue fire. They're burning with fire that I haven't eyes for, that I haven't senses for. And it took maybe someone like Van Gogh, like when he painted a few cypresses in Provence, like to show us that a tree, in fact, is a green column of flame. It is green fire, like. So every bush is a burning bush, and all ground is holy ground. And it would be an awful shame, like, never to have spent 70 years on the earth and never to have put off your shoes from off your feet and set foot, barefoot, on holy ground that the earth is.
Now, he's the man that we should take advice to go barefoot from, rather than from some online post by the latest snake oil wellness influencer, or God forbid, some tech bro in Silicon Valley. In fact, when I've my fill of the egomaniacal ravings of the likes of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, it's to Moriarty I turn. There's a groundedness, a rootedness to him beyond all his far-flung philosophizing. Just listen to what he's likely to have to say about their crazy Martian obsession, their nature-destroying intergalactic rocket fixation.
We in the West talk about in excelsis. You know, we look up, don't we? Now, walking to work in Connemara, when I use the word in excelsis, I look down because I'm walking in excelsis. You know, and once you set foot on the earth in that kind of way, then you never want to set foot on the moon. Then you never want to set foot on Mars, never want to set foot elsewhere in your galaxy than where you actually are. It is no big deal to go into space. We're in space anyway, aren't we? So this sense of coming home to the earth.
Coming home to the earth. That's the stuff that I want to be reminded of. I want my life guru to be half carnival huckster, half bottle-eyed druid, with a little bit of narcissistic Catholic bishop thrown in. If you just close your eyes and imagine what John Moriarty looks like, you're probably pretty accurate. Wild white flowing hair, ruddy cheeks, piercing eyes, incessantly roaming, taking in everything, from the dewdrop on a budding leaf to distant dimensions far beyond our own. He's the past master of hot takes and insights that seem radically inspiring yet reassuringly common sense. When I've lost my bearings, I just open one of his books, any of them really, or randomly click on one of his recorded lectures, and I'll get something like,
nowadays, women are enfranchising themselves, aren't they? Like in the last century, women didn't have the vote and women didn't have any legal power in the family farm or whatever it is. Like, so now women have enfranchised themselves and are continuing to enfranchise themselves. I just want to say, why don't we also go further and enfranchise the universe, enfranchise the whole earth and everything in it?
And there's practical advice too, like how to survive an Irish winter, but expressed in the most poetic and melodramatic terms.
As you know, Connemara is a kind of aboriginal earth with the mountains and the great mirroring dimension, which is the lakes mirroring the mountains that you look at. And sometimes, like when you see the mountains mirrored in the lakes, you feel that the mountains know they're being mirrored. They aren't quite Narcissus-like. They aren't admiring themselves. They aren't about to drown because they're going to fall into the lakes in admiration of themselves. But like that mirroring dimension, that holy kind of marvellous dimension that you see in Connemara. Anyway, it's a kind of savage landscape, and in the winter it can be savage and aboriginal. And the only way to live in that world is to be aboriginal. I mean, every winter, like a buffalo, I had to turn in the way that a buffalo turns round and faces into the blizzard. Like the buffalo doesn't run from the blizzard. A buffalo, great stupendous being, turns around and faces into the blizzard. The only thing you can do is face north-northwest, or west-northwest, and face that no man's land between Iceland and Greenland, where so much of the winter weather is made, and stand there like a buffalo and say, I'm for another winter here.
That's it. We just need to channel our inner buffalo. Here, I don't want to overstay my welcome. There's literally an infinity of further Moriartyisms for us to explore, but let's leave it there for now. In the meantime, check out his books, his recorded talks, or maybe the best place to start is various snippets you're going to find on YouTube or the RT Player. His RT television series from the 1990s, The Blackbird and the Bell, is safeguarded in the RT archives, and hopefully they'll release them at some point. In the meantime, I'll leave you with one final Moriarty tidbit for the road. Now, it's a bit of a bootleg recording, so bear with the dodgy sounds in the backgrounds. Enjoy. Gavekime shiverish, hog gaboge. Take it handy.
And the whole idea of educare, like education, to lead something out from within, isn't it? I mean, that's the literal meaning of education. It isn't, we now talk about input, don't we? I mean, the whole modern theory of education is input. The ancient idea of education was to lead out what is already within. After 20 years of input, of Encyclopedia Britannica input, and of people imagining that the brain of Britain is the great thing to be, and to have all the answers, do you know what I mean? To have all the silly answers, to all the silly questions, to have all the unnecessary answers, to all the unnecessary questions. My head does feel a little bit inputted. It does feel a little bit like I picked it up in a pawn shop, doesn't it? Like it's full of other people's ideas, And I suppose there might be a suggestion here that, Christ, anyway, I've been caught up in the rigmarole of incarnation after incarnation after incarnation. So this head has been run around a long, long time. But even though I am all body, all second-hand head, I'm a Christian again. But I've opened my mind. I've opened my gates long ago to dark horses. I'm saying I'm a Christian again, but I'm going to be a Christian now with a difference. I'm going to open my mind and open my life to my animal instincts, to animal nature in me, to sexuality in me, to all the needs of body and soul in me.